Kong. I watched Awesome and Crusher Kong in WCW, and I was running the shows in the backyard. It wasn't the backyard show where everybody was jumping off stuff. We actually had a ring. We had real workers. We had about 3 real workers and about 18 guys who didn't know what they were doing, including me. Well, we had a show coming up in Canyon. Canyon, who's a Hall of Famer, he'll be up here in a little bit. Suggested you ought to book our Awesome Kong. I was scared to death to call this man. I was scared he's going to eat me alive. Called him on the phone. Dwayne was very respectful. He treated me with respect. When a lot of guys didn't really know, he was a 16-year-old kid. He's a mark. We're not even going to waste our time with him. Well, Awesome, he treated me right. He worked my show, and we did it in the backyard, and there's cars that parked up and down the street all wrong ways. It's a sellout, of course. That's how every old school story starts. It's a sellout. And it was in the backyard. Awesome and Crusher teamed up for the first time in years. They had a good time. They absolutely destroyed 2 guys. Awesome gets a parking ticket. I had already run out of money. I had run out of money, and I was scurrying. And I was like, you know what? Something's going to happen here, and it's not going to turn out good for me either way. So I paid Awesome his money, and then I heard he got a parking ticket. I'm running around trying to hide. He finds me, and he puts his hand on my, David, I got a parking ticket for $75 for your show. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm about to lose it. This is it for me. Save me a spot. And he just grinned and pulled me in and hugged me. He said, well, I guess I'll learn next time. So thank God Awesome Kong took care of his business. But he always treated me right. Thank you, family, for being here. The McCullough family is here for Awesome Kong.
This is another one of my favorites. When I first came down here to Texas, one of the first couple of people that I met were Dwayne and Scott, the Awesome Kongs. Man, they beat the snot out of me. I learned how to fight for what I wanted. I learned how to protect myself. Clash of the Champions 24, they were in the main event with Sting and Ric Flair. 6 years later, I never thought for 1 second that I'd be standing face to face with them. So today we have Curtis T, Tim Sweeney, and Crash here to induct Dwayne Awesome Kong.
I can tell you one thing. When I first met Dwayne, I went to the Longhorn Ballroom. Didn't miss Dwayne when he come to the ring. Either you heard him or you seen him. But to see him do what he did in the ring, it was awesome. And he introduced me to guys like Canyon, Tool, Animal. And it was awesome. And then he traveled with him. Because he wanted you to drive him there because he was going to relax because he had to wrestle. But all the stuff that he taught us wasn't just about wrestling. It's about being a father to your kids. And meeting his family, going hunting with him, staying at his dad's house. And first thing his dad says, you gonna get something to eat? So when I first got into business, I was really skinny. Once you start hanging around some of these, the way they like to eat, It's just awesome. Now there's names that Dwayne went by that some people didn't know. I'm wearing pink because to see Dwayne in a pink tights with PYT on the side was mighty awesome. And then he had a gimmick, they called him Dewey. You know, then he had the Vikings when he first came out. But I was talking about, what do I wear to this today? You know what came to my head? He said, if you're going to be a wrestler, you wear wrestling boots, you wear gear to the ring. I don't want to ever see you in tennis shoes. And he said, oh yeah, by the way, tuck your shoestrings in, because you're not a mark. Everything that he taught you about this business was because of this business. And he stood up for this business and expects you to do the same. We were training down at Terrell, Texas. And we ran across Crash. They were in there training through Calvin School. And Dwayne says, we got some students to train. I said, okay. He said, get in there and do it. Of course, he'd tell me what to do, and I'd do whatever he said because I didn't want to get hit by him. But I'm gonna let Crash talk.
As he said, I started off training down there with Cal, didn't get a lot of training, no disrespect to the Cal. This big guy walks in one day and owed nothing to me. But for a year, this guy spent time in the ring to teach me something about this business. Taught me how to treat the boys, how to act in the dressing room, how to dress, how to carry yourself. He introduced me, like Tim said, man, he's introduced me to so many guys in this room that I'd have never got to meet. Wayne did all this for me. Nothing. I don't know how many guys in this business got that on. Kong took me in as one of his. I was proud to be part of the grill factory. I was proud to be considered. And I hope that I ain't that in this business that I hadn't disrespected. So I'm honored to be able to pick up Kong to the Hall of Fame.
Go on up.
I just wanted to say, I started off in this business 14 years ago, and when I first started, I started with CWF and Tim Storm, the guys that trained me. I was injured in training, and I couldn't continue. And about a year later, I went out to SWF and was trained with Tim Sweeney and Crash and Big Papa Jones, Lanny Floyd, and all I heard about was Dwayne. They told me about Dwayne. They said, this is the way that Dwayne trained us. And I'm going to teach you the way, always tucking your bootlaces. You know, stand up, be strong. You're a big man, be in the ring, be tough. And they taught me and trained me and got me to the point of the wrestler I am today. Many years later, I had the honor of working for Killer Tim Brooks. And I was sitting in his living room, waiting to go out for a show. I was dressed in all my gear, and in walks this huge guy. And I looked at him, and I said, oh my God, that's Dwayne. And he walked in, stepped in the room, walked over, shook his hand. He walked up to me, he said, kid, he said, who trained you? I said, well, I started off in CWF. I said, but your guys were the ones that trained me. I said, I went and was trained by Crash and Tim. And he said, okay. He said, I'm going to watch you wrestle. I'm going to watch you in the ring. So I went in, I wrestled my match, I came back, and he gave me some constructive criticism. And he looked at me and he said, you know, he said, I like the way you work. He said, my guys trained you right. They trained you, made me proud. He said, as far as I'm concerned, you're one of my guys. And that meant a lot to me. I was very honored by it, and it meant a lot for these men that were trained in the original grill factory, that they did what Dwayne wanted them to do. They passed on his training, they passed on his ethic, and they taught the rest of us that had the honor of training with them how to do it right. So I just wanted to say that. It was very special to me. It was a great honor. Kong died not too long after I got to meet him, and it really meant a lot. And I'm trained by his guys and I consider heroes.
He said, Black Mark's running the Sportatorium. He said, he needs a wrestler. And I said, okay. He said, you need to come try out. I'm like, okay. So he made an appointment, and I went down there. They were wrestling on Friday and this was Saturday. And I go in there. Mark said, well, go get your boots on. So I went and got my boots on. And the kid was training for Bart at the time. And Bart started telling him what he wanted us to do, and me and Tim got this. Me and Kid did a spot. Of course, Bart let me come and wrestle after that. But I think Dwayne, Kid Carson, Black Bart for the opportunity to wrestle at the Sportatorium. And I'm going to ask Ruby to come up now, and his grandson. I told him he needed to go ahead and put the gimmick on. He's big enough already.
And let's put this on the table.
Dwayne loved to pull ribs. And I got to tell this because this was at the German Fest. He brings his grandson up there, and Iceman comes walking up. Dwayne had him to go over to him and say, "Hey, I heard you were my daddy." Of course, you know Iceman. What? And then he said it again. He goes, "Well, son, I may be." And Dwayne just starts laughing. But anyway, Ruby, I've known you for a long time because your dad. You actually got to see him because it was raining and snowing outside when we were supposed to be training. So you got to see him poking around the living room floor. Give me monkey tips. But this is an honor to me to give this to your family because he meant a lot to me in my life. There you go.
Hello, you guys. It's all us girls. My dad, he was a big man, scary for most. But he had 3 girls that he loved, and that was his life. And we were there. We were always there. So most of you people seen us grow up. You know, Dad didn't put one of these guys that he had working for him behind the wheel of that truck. This girl was driving him around. Always driving him home, probably because he had way too much to drink for the shows. 13 years old with a trailer with a ring. And I'd pull over on the side of the road because Dad'd be drunk. He'd be sick. I say, "Dad, if you fall over in that ditch, you're just going to have to stay here for a while because I can't get you out of it." But I want to thank you, David. I want to thank all of you guys.